Mark, you are up next.
You're
what
right.
dumb garbage do you have for us this week?
Well, speaking of dumb garbage, let's talk about Overwatch.
Jesus, dude.
I'm not the biggest fan of the game. I like watching it. But there was a patch that came out where they released Sombra. It was a new hero that everyone was really excited about, but they released it the day before, I think it was the last regular season match for the Overwatch tournament that happens in OGN. And they had to play with this hero enabled. Obviously, you have like no chance to really practice with it, and they just had to deal with it being in the games. It was in some of the games, and it's just funny to me that people like always push like such like, oh, we care about our tournaments, our esports scene, we're gonna take it seriously. We're getting like billionaires involved in our scene, and then you do stuff like this where you push out some patch that just like really ruins kind of the competitive integrity of the scene because like no one's really prepared for it. You're not watching like really high quality matches. You're just watching some like random new thing in the game. And it's not just Blizzard that does this, obviously. It's, you know, League of Legends does it all the time where like they will just fundamentally change their game right before playoffs or before Worlds or something. And I think it's really ridiculous to see these kinds of changes when so many of these big teams are trying to push like esports as like this really legit, super cool thing. And then you have to deal with situations like this. And I just want to get you guys' take on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to say, I guess Overwatch has been such a phenomenally successful game, and you know it's tapped into an audience that is not only mainstream but also a competitive audience as well. And the patch is clearly like for everyone, like it's for those people as well. And I wonder how many of players, like what percentile of players are actually like the competitive side of things. So I personally think like it's fine for Blizzard to go ahead and like release this patch, and not to mention like they have Overwatch League and they're going to be rolling that out in January 2017. So having Sombra come out now is actually better timing. It might not have worked very well for OGN, but I think it works well for like the Combine and all like Overwatch League stuff that they've got planned, because it gives pros and competitors more chance or more time to get hands on with Sombra.
Well, kind of just like, I understand that you don't want to like hold on to this thing and do everything around the teams, but like, could you have delayed it one day? Like till after the group stage of this thing, like,
or allowed for them to roll it back to a previous patch, right? Like, I mean, because you know if you look at the way the Riot does it, they have the tournament realm, so they can have a tournament on a previous patch. Obviously, that took a lot of technology for them to figure out, but like. I think you're right. I mean, it's like either they delay it or they allow these teams to play out a previous patch, because it does really. I mean, this is Apex. OGN Apex is like the premier Overwatch tournament right now. Mm-hmm. It's the best and the highest profile one right now. Can you like maybe help them out a little bit?
Right. I mean, like, I'm not saying that like Blizzard should cater to only the esports audience, but how do you not like plan around these kinds of things better? And it happens all the time. League is like a little bit more figured out now, but it is kind of crazy. And Michael, do they have this kind of stuff in the FGC where like they release some new character, they balance something at the worst time?
Before I answer that, how did Sombra do?
I don't think she was super impressive.
No, nobody played her to a really high level.
Okay. The answer to your question is yes. I think it was EVO last year. NetherRealm Studios has kind of a bad history with patching its games, especially at the wrong times. I think it was before EVO last year, 3 days or so, a few days before EVO, they dropped a major patch on MKX. And that's a game changer when you talk about all of these guys that have been playing these games competitively for months, and then to kind of have, you know, nerfs and character changes and just all of these massive changes dropped on you within a few days. I don't recall if EVO used them, but I've there's been other instances of the same thing happening and tournaments using those updated patches for their games. And yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me why you would, you know, I understand you have to schedule these things when you have to schedule them, but why drop them before a major event? Or, you know, like in terms of the FGC, this is the Super Bowl, right? Like the Super Bowl of the FGC. Why would you drop a patch days before that and expect them to, you know, use or not use it? So I think it kind of creates a problem, and that's definitely on the publisher to you know, work around.
No, I don't want people to get it twisted, because I actually think that one of the most exciting things about esports is the fact that developers can change it week by week. They can change the game fundamentally. I think there's an issue with, I think it is purely a timing issue. I think the fact that, you know, Riot will change League of Legends, or, you know, Valve will change Dota, to a massive degree and completely wipe out the meta, basically. I think that's kind of cool. I think the problem is, I think that should happen in between major tournaments when it allows teams to or to have enough time to adapt to the new changes in the game.
I mean, kind of touching on that, like for example, Riot, they do it at a time where you have like a little bit of time to adapt, but they have like a season where they're testing you this whole season, and then they change the meta completely, and like whatever you learned is now gone, whatever you were good at doesn't matter anymore, and like what is the point of the season if you're gonna do something like that? And I think it's really, I understand that like, you want to make something fresh and new for the viewers, but at the same time, like you're basically just pooping on your teams who are trying to make your game look really cool and like played at the highest level, and it's like here's some new stuff that you're not ready for.
But like going back to Overwatch, the fact that Sombra dropped in the day before a tournament, that's lame. If it had come out 3 days later.
I wonder if the tournament could have like introduced rules like a soft ban on Sombra,
Yeah.
or just like a hard
They
ban,
could have,
no one
yeah.
allowed to use
Well,
or pick
that's
her.
what Capcom does with Street Fighter V. The only thing is like when I think about that for like Overwatch, I'm assuming it wasn't just Sombra that was introduced. There was some other changes or whatever, and it's like how do you manage around that? Because it's not just the addition of a new character you have to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think it's really exciting when a player gets to be the first god at a new character.
Yeah.
And so I love it when that happens. But you can't figure out how to be a god at a champion in 12 hours.